Well, it wasn't a great weekend for the Washington Capitals, but it wasn't a bad weekend either. So, I mean, I guess take what you can get, right?
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Capitals. I am your host, as always, the insider to the insiders, Tyler Kuehl. After a 1-1 weekend for the Washington Capitals in their back-to-back sets against the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Buffalo Sabres. Now, we're going to kind of look at both games here as we go along here on this edition of Locked On Caps, this Monday edition. Recorded on Sunday, so if I do look to the side of the camera, I do apologize. The Grey Cup is on. Hamilton versus Winnipeg, the 108th Grey Cup in Hamilton. I know I'm wearing a Toronto FC shirt. That's because I know it's weird because Hamilton beat the Argonauts to go to the Grey Cup. I'm still kind of more partial to the Ontario than I would be for Winnipeg. And no offense to Jesse Pollock at TSN, I'm going to cheer for the Ticats in this one. Tim Hortons Field, that's where it is going on as we do this show today. Not the only thing with Hamilton today, though, on this Sunday. Before we get too far into this, can we just talk about the Formula One race yesterday? They're in not Saudi Arabia, but in Abu Dhabi, right? That's where and literally, why did Lewis Hamilton pit? It's the most confusing thing in the world. It's like, why would Mark Crawford lead Wayne Gretzky off of the shootout lineup in Nagano in 98? Why in the blue blazing, why would you ever want to start? I'm trying to think of another comparison to make it to here. I don't know. It was a whole kit and caboodle and a half. For those that don't know, I am a Formula One. I'm a racing fan. NASCAR, Indy, Formula One. Whole kit and caboodle. I'll even watch some Lucas Oil off-road racing if the time is right. Long story short, I'm watching the Formula One race this morning for the championship. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton battling it out. Hamilton's got a 12-second lead. He's on old tires, raced over half the race with him. That's okay, though. You want to know why? Because he's got almost a 13-second lead. Verstappen's bringing it down, but not enough time left. And then, of course, Michael Schumacher's kid dumps, I forgot who the other driver was, but he gets into the driver, ends up sending him high. He ends up going to the wall in the 14th turn. Of course, Michael Schumacher's kid is involved with denying Lewis Hamilton a record 8th world championship in Formula One because his father, Michael Schumacher, Nick Schumacher, I'm talking about here, the driver, Michael Schumacher is tied with Hamilton for 7 all time. I was talking with Stephen Ellis of the Hockey News after the race, and because Verstappen ends up getting to pass him because the safety car brought him together. Verstappen made it easy because he's on fresh tires. He wins his first championship, the Dutchman. I was talking to Stephen Ellis about this. I'm like, Stephen, I'm bummed because I wanted it to happen now. And he's like, you're right, because Verstappen's probably going to go dominate, and this could be all it for Hamilton. And I'm like, no! Sorry, big Formula One fan. That's all I got on that train of thought there. Let's get into the Washington Capitals weekend. And we're going to go back first. Should we go with the win? Let's go with the win first. We'll get to the Pittsburgh game later on. Of course, we'll do our Kuehl caps of the weekend as well. So let's talk about the game on... Actually, no. I think in order to properly mention both games, we'll hit Pittsburgh first, and then we'll do Buffalo second. So the game against Pittsburgh on Friday, huge game. ESPN Plus, hockey night on ESPN Plus. Big national game. I don't know. Like I say, I have Hulu, so I don't really have a big issue with the game being on ESPN Plus and Hulu. So I'm not panicking about it, but I understand why people are like, this isn't really a national game. And I'm like, well, ESPN brought out their crews out there and their broadcasting crew. Ray Ferraro, of course, is amazing. Emily Kaplan's great, but that was about it. So the game starts. Danton Heinen scores late in the first period. It makes it 1-0. And I'll say this. Very hard right off the hop come the Washington Capitals. Alex Ovechkin's like, I'm probably not going to score here, guys, so I'm going to hit everything that moves. Let me see how many. I can't remember how many hits he had. Washington ends up having 32 hits, which is now tied for the most on home ice this year for the Washington Capitals. Ovechkin ended up having 4, which was actually, believe it or not, second on the team. Now, this is kind of shocking to me. TJ Oshie had 5. That right there is a kind of a eye-popping stat. Of course, Oshie, I'm not saying he's not the most physical guy, but you don't know him as the one that's going to throw his weight around. So, but regardless, Pittsburgh comes out with a 1-0 lead. They actually build up a 3-0 lead. Brock McGinn and Kasperi Kapanen end up scoring in the second and third period. Brock McGinn, good shot from the point. Kasperi Kapanen, great feed from Crosby. It is, in fact, 3-0. So, not a good start for Washington. They go to the third period, but they start to bring it back. Ovi sets up Kuznetsov. All right, that makes it. That's Kuznetsov's ninth. Makes it 3-1. They're back in it. Lars Eller scores a little bit later on. It's 3-2. Couple minutes left. They have a chance to do this, and Jeff Carter ends up putting the empty net goal. Now, I understand the hoopla here. I understand why everyone's panicking because, the puck should have been on a play. Watch the replay back. The puck hits the linesman. The linesman is in play. That's how it happens. Game on. The game continues on, right? Like, that's my thing with all this is that while I understand why Caps fans are mad because you know what? If they call that puck out of play, you're right. Then the Caps have a chance to go tie the hockey game. The long and the short of it, though, is the fact that they didn't, and Jeff Carter scores the empty netter. I really think that the Caps played a good game. They just didn't play a great game. And I think Pittsburgh was hungry. When we talked to John Walton on Friday, we knew that they were going to be hungry. Pittsburgh was coming out of the gate, especially after getting embarrassed the last time. I don't think Samsonov played all that bad in the first place. Obviously, it's tough. It's tough to be in that spot against a Pittsburgh team that's really starting to pick up steam right now, guys. I don't think we can really, hold that fact back right now. Pittsburgh, as of right now, has won 7 of their last 10 games. They're back up to 4th in the division. And right now it's 6 points behind the New York Rangers. And the only reason why they're at 6 points behind the Rangers because the Rangers have also won 8 of their last 10 games. Even though Pittsburgh, like the Carolina Hurricanes, we'll kind of touch on a little bit later on, when we look around the Metropolitan Division here, have won their last 4 games. So it's not like this was a bad loss for the Capitals. But now you have to quickly travel. You have to go from Washington, D.C. up to Buffalo. Not an awful flight, but obviously a trip that is certainly something you don't want to always have to do to go take on the Buffalo Sabres. Back-to-backs are never easy. That is something that just from being on a bus and doing that's tough. And maybe flying 3 or 4 hours maybe is not the same. I have not experienced that myself, so I can't come out and say, hey guys, yeah, flying is so much easier than busing. I'm not quite sure. I just know they spend more time on a bus if you're doing a back-to-back, unless it's 3 hours apart. Regardless, we'll touch on that game here in just a moment's time here, guys. But does this sound familiar? You have one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, and you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you got your neighbor's best friend's logins for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all of that entertainment you love without all the hassle, and a great way to get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no more need to buy another device ever again, and the best part is there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That is right, that is directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. So the big thing that really came out of the game, though, against Pittsburgh was the fact that Tom Wilson and Martin Fehervary both had to leave the game. Fehervary blocked a shot, had to leave in the second period, and also having to leave the game was Tom Wilson. And the thing is that Fehervary did take the warm-up skate, almost said morning skate, but they didn't do morning skate on Saturday. Took the warm-up skate, realized he was good to go, ends up playing. Tom Wilson, though, didn't even dress. That's certainly not good. Currently listed as day-to-day as the time we're recording this, so obviously that could change by the time the Caps play Chicago on Wednesday. So that said, I'm really interested to see what was going to happen because obviously losing Tom Wilson was huge. I don't think we can ever really remiss the importance of Tom Wilson. The way he's played this year, the way he has really come around and really played pretty darn motivated hockey. I don't think we can really talk about Tom Wilson and say that this guy's not had a much better season and a more determined season from what we would probably expect out of a guy like Tom Wilson. So the game starts and kind of a similar startup. I wasn't able to watch the entire first period. I was running errands. Unfortunately, I was with family also earlier in the day. But the fact of the matter was this. The Sabres really didn't, it's weird for Buffalo because they 2 out in the second half of back-to-back. they played tough. They actually outshot the Caps in the first period, 13-10. Now, you could have chalked that up to the fact that Buffalo was at home and Washington had to travel, but certainly it was not going to be an easy game for Vitek Vanacek, who really needed to have a good game too. And he played well, ends up stopping 29 shots in 65 minutes because this game went to a shootout, and obviously. And the Sabres, the quality of chances weren't amazing. There were a couple times that Vanacek thought had some clean looks and kind of mishandled the puck a little bit. And maybe that's another thing with having a goaltender that's not playing consistently. But he had to make the saves when he had to. Washington ends up picking it later on. Lars Eller, though, does get the first goal of the game from Washington. That's very important. Nice play by Connor Shear to get it to him. Eller was able to sneak one by Ukko-Pekka Laukkanen, who I still think is a great goaltender, just needs to be on a better team. However, Vinny Hinostroza, later on in the period, just kind of gets left open, goes on a breakaway, beats Vanacek. It's 1-1. But then Will Butcher makes it 2-1 Buffalo in the second period. The lone goal scored. Nice play by Asplund and Kyle Pozo to set up Butcher, and he taps it in. It's 2-1. And at this point of the game, like I said, it was still fairly even. Something clicked in the second half of this game for Washington. I don't know if they were just angry. They were mad that they'd lost the night before, and all of a sudden they're losing to Buffalo, which I get it. I get it, guys. Buffalo's not supposed to be good this year, but they're pesky. Like, this is a team that just wants to play hard and work hard and, state that they can be, a lot of those guys can be playing in the NHL. Okay, this is probably their shot. Maybe for some of them, maybe their one shot. And so Hinostroza gets the goal. It's 2-1. Hinostroza, and then the goal from Butcher makes it 2-1. We go to the third period. And boy, oh boy, the Caps came out hard. I think it was the first time this season that in a close game that Washington has straight up dominated another team. They outshoot Buffalo 17-6 in the third period. I can't remember. Maybe it's because it's been almost 24 hours at this point, but for some reason I'm not clicking in my head how much offensive zone time Buffalo had in that third period. Washington was just persistent, and they were rewarded just a few minutes in. Alex Ovechkin has the puck down low. He looks up to the top and says, here's a scoring chance, drops it back to who, kids? Martin Fehervary, the game time decision, rips it by the goaltender Laukkanen, his third of the season. Ovechkin's third assist of the weekend, 24th assist of the season for the grade 8, and we're tied at 2. No more scoring in the third, no more scoring in overtime, because of course not. We go to a shootout. Only 2 goals were scored for the Caps, 1 for Buffalo. Daniel Sprong, he tried that same move he did against Chicago that missed. This time he actually puts it in. And then a goal later from Victor Olsen. And TJ Oshie just completely freezes Laukkanen. Laukkanen was looking like one of my old McFarlane figures. They just stood there. He's like, kind of waited for something to happen. And then is already by him. Caps win this one. Second post-regulation win of the season for the Caps. Second shootout win as well. Back-to-back shootout wins, in fact, for the Caps. Both their wins, this one and, of course, last Monday against the Anaheim Ducks. So real good way to come out the weekend. Obviously, you wouldn't have liked it been as close against Buffalo, but the Sabres, like I said, they're a pesky team. Laukkanen had to make some really good saves in that third period, especially to only allow the Caps to score 1 goal because they were hungry for that overtime winner. Had a couple good looks in the shootout as well, but unfortunately, neither team could cash it in the 65 minutes. So the Caps had to come away with the win in the skills competition. I really thought they played solid, and now they still sit atop of the Metropolitan Division, 40 points. And as of right now, at the time of the recording this, I don't know let me just see if those other 2 teams are playing tonight. I think Florida is playing tonight. So at the time of recording this could change because Florida is playing Colorado here in about an hour's time that I'm recording this. They will play, and they have 40 points, as do the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Washington Capitals. Those 3 teams currently sit atop of the National Hockey League. Technically, you'd give it to the Panthers because the Panthers have only played 26 games so far. 3 games in hand of Toronto, 2 in hand of the Washington Capitals. But still, 17-5-6. Once again, we mentioned it with John, the fact that the number was only 4 coming into Friday's game and still 5 as we creep in closer and closer to Christmas. I think this is a really good mark for this hockey team. Now, yes, we're waiting to see what the severity of Tom Wilson's injury is, I think he's getting reevaluated today or tomorrow. You really hope it's nothing too severe. You really hope that because like I said, if this is the first real big injury for this hockey club, or for him at least, I shouldn't say first because Nicholas Backstrom's been all year. Oshie missed a lot of time. Mantha's still out. But for him especially, because he's really wanted to push for that spot on Team Canada. And it may not happen. It's really tough. I mean, I've been watching the World Junior camp this weekend. They've been taking on the U Sports the last couple of days, and it's so hard to say, all right, these guys are in the lineup. These guys are not going to be on the team. Like, that's what the World Junior team, let alone the NHL's best. Team Canada is going to be a very tough team to crack for anybody. There's obviously going to be the Shoo-ins, the Crosbys, the McDavids, and whatnot. But there's going to be some other hard spots that are going to have to be considered. And boy, I mean, there's a reason why Doug Armstrong was hired for the job. He's shown that he can put together a winning team, and they're playing well right now are the St. Louis Blues. But this was, of course, even without all the COVID issues they were having, they were doing fine just going into the weekend set. I know they beat Detroit pretty handily last week. But the fact of the matter is that Tom Wilson's going to have a tough time to get there. And if he misses any insurmountable amount of time, it's not going to be easy for him to actually get there. So, you hope he does. I mean, it would be a great story, but once again, is he really going to, even if he makes the team, how much is he going to play? This is he can skate fast and he can work hard, but it's going to be on bigger ice. That's another thing that I think we're going to be considering. It's international ice. It's a different kind of layout, and it's a different playing style. So I'm interested to see what Team Canada does moving forward. Obviously, when we get closer to February, we'll have a better idea, because also the fact that tomorrow the NHL and the NHL Players Association and the IOC and IIHF are going to be having a Zoom meeting to talk about what the protocols would be, the final protocols would be for if players were to test positive for COVID-19 while overseas. Now, I was watching Hockey Night in Canada last night, the second period, where Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman from 32 Thoughts get their segment, and they were discussing what the possibilities could be. The maximum quarantine time for people that test positive in China could be 3 to 5 weeks, 3 to 5 weeks maximum. And, you're including the fact that some players could test positive while they're there in China going into the medal rounds. That is a huge loss for the team. And according to Elliot Friedman during that, the National Hockey League has said that if you miss games because you had to be quarantined in China, or miss games because of COVID quarantine in general, because of going to the Olympics, you will not be paid. The IIHF, according to Friedman, has allegedly also put together a $5 million pot to pay the players, since they're going to be under their umbrella, their spectrum, while they are playing in China. These players will. So, and of course, that $5 million, if you distribute it out amongst a bunch of players, because you would only count so many games, right? It wouldn't be like their entire salary. That's why $5 million is the number here. But the fact of the matter is that these guys could easily miss out for a good chunk of time, and that $5 million could easily go away, and all of a sudden some players are not getting paid to be sitting in Beijing with COVID. Or even if they are asymptomatic, they still have to be there because of the fact they tested positive. This is not an easy situation the NHL finds themselves in. The National Hockey League and Gary Bettman during the Board of Governors meetings last week said, if we can go, we'll go. If the players can go, they'll go, if we find it safe. He didn't really make any inclination that he was pessimistic about the idea of the NHLers going to the Olympics. Good, first of all. And even though I was supposed to say, it was one of the few good things he said last week. Of course, we went down the Arizona path, and Bettman kept trying to help them out there and be like, we want Arizona to be there, and so on and so forth. And that's neither here nor there. The fact is that I really like that Bettman is for the players going to the Olympics. But once again, we talked with John last Friday about it. It's harder and harder to see it come to fruition. It's harder to come out and say, hey, yeah, this is a good idea. Because what if Ovechkin goes over there? I know we talk about a lot on this show and how good he's doing, and the fact that right now he's in the Art Ross race, not just the Hart race, the Art Ross race, and obviously he's chasing down Ovechkin. I know this is going to sound really stupid, okay? But any missed games could really hurt his chances, to be in the Hart Trophy winner this year. And I know, he already misses the All-Star game, whatever, but I'm talking real NHL games here. Not just getting suspended one game because he's out the All-Star weekend. I'm talking 2 or 3 games here, a little bit more. And not just hurting his statistics, his chase for history, but also the Capitals. How many games have we talked about that the Capitals winning or even losing that we haven't mentioned Ovechkin's name? Not too many. This is a real problem that the NHLPA, the NHL, and even the IIHF and IOC find themselves in right now. As I mentioned last week, it's not going to be, a complete and utter chore to try to find 25 players to represent these countries. China, as far as we know, has their national team set. I'm not quite sure about some of the other ones. Obviously, some NHL spots, spots for NHLers are being held open by some of the European teams that are filling up their rosters with a lot of other players that are currently playing in Europe, not the NHL, or even the AHL for that matter. So, yes, you're right, kids. There is a possibility that we could be looking at a Pyeongchang-esque men's hockey Olympic tournament. Now, once again, like I say, I'm going to help cover it. I'm going to watch it. And I'm going to enjoy it. It gives me a chance to see more names that I haven't seen in a while or I've never heard of before. That's fun. That's cool. But once again, I'm sure like you and I would love to see the Washington Capitals best go there. I would love to see Ovechkin. I would love to see Lars Eller get a chance to go play. Vanacek get a chance to represent his country, and so on and so forth. But at the same token, in the world we're living in right now, you want to have the best plan to keep the players safe and healthy. And if the NHL has to pull out next month because of it, fine. I get it. I'll understand it. So it's going to be a day-by-day thing, and we're going to keep talking about it until it comes to the end of it. But as of right now, we can only hope. Things aren't looking bright, and I tried not to be pessimistic. Call me realistic, whatever you want to do. Long story short, it's hard to say, all right, guys, who's ready for, who's going to start for Team Canada? Is it going to be, are we going to see Marc-Andre Fleury get into the Olympic roster? No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about, all right, who's the best Swedish Elite League player from Canada and who's the best one from Russia, so on and so forth. Like there's a chance that that's going to be the case here. So like I said, we'll just have to wait and I'll see. We'll get to our Kuehl caps here in just a moment's time, guys. But I got to tell you, it's the holiday season, and it is the perfect time to grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar, Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavors, and covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugars, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. You get the best of both worlds with Built Bar, as it is delicious and healthy. So many flavors, you'll have a hard time choosing which one you want. Well, you have raspberry mint brownie, cherry or double chocolate, cookies and cream or peanut brownie. Built Bar gives you the extra fuel that you also need to bust down those mall doors and battle the holiday shoppers. Or if you're just standing in long, endless shopping lines, Built Bar gives you the extra something you need to keep going. So throw it in your jacket or purse, because you never know when you're going to need one. Your friends with Santa will tell Santa to throw a few Built Bars in those stockings. And with so many flavors, they'll make anyone's Christmas morning a happy one. Go to Built.com right now to use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order at Built.com. 15% off by using LOCKED15. And BetOnline, guys, has you covered all season with more props and lines than ever before as football season continues its march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the hockey action this season as well. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website today to sign up and use the promo code LOCKEDON to get 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. For basketball, football, boxing, UFC, favorite Vegas casino games, and the National Hockey League, do not wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 21-22 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, I would go down the list of games we have for Monday night, but really the only one we really have to talk about, Calgary Flames taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Yes, a one-game night in the NHL tonight. I would give you the scores from Sunday, but none of them have even started yet, so I really can't do that by the time of this recording. So a lot of stuff can happen. Like I said, Florida could easily beat Colorado, even though it is in Denver, and Colorado's starting to pick up their game pretty quickly here. They're really hanging around. They could easily take the top spot in the National Hockey League, even though, like I said, they do right now, but they would have it for themselves with 42 points. Or even if they go to overtime, 41, because the Leafs don't play until Tuesday either, as they believe I'm not mistaken, they begin their Western Canada trip. So the Caps have some catching up to do. Like I said, they do not play, though, until Wednesday when they play the Chicago Blackhawks. Interesting schedule as we get towards Christmas here for the Caps. I'm not going to say the word easy because we're going to mention a couple teams here and you'll be like, whoa, wait a second. But here's the schedule for the rest of the 2021 calendar year. Chicago on Wednesday for the second time, who the Caps lost to in a shootout not too long ago. The Winnipeg Jets, who are up towards the top of that Central Division. The LA Kings, who, as we record this, are still hanging around that Pacific Division. I know they're kind of falling back a little bit, but they're in 6th place right now in the Pacific. However, they're only 8 points back of the division leaders and only 4 back of the 3rd place Edmonton Oilers. So the Pacific Division, you may be in 6th, but you're not out of it unless you're, Seattle or Vancouver. Even though Vancouver's won their last 3 games, I don't know if the Bruce there it is kind of thing is going to be a thing. But hey, you never know. Crazy things have happened in this NHL. But so yeah, like I said, LA at home on Sunday the 19th. Then on Tuesday the 21st, you go to Philly, and the Flyers finally snapped their losing streak. But boy, they've really dug themselves a big hole. Then you have the Islanders, who have dug themselves a bigger hole on the 23rd. Then you have the Christmas break. And then the 27th, you have Ottawa at home, Nashville at home. Oh boy. And then the Red Wings on New Year's Eve in Detroit, their annual New Year's Eve game. So an interesting schedule, a mix of teams that have been lackluster, but really good teams as well. Really good way to end the 2021 year for this stretch for the Capitals to really see not say how good they are, because we know they're good, but how consistent this team can be. Because the more consistent they are now, the better spot they put themselves in as we get into the March and April grind heading towards the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because obviously that's the goal for this hockey team, and they want to have that goal for a little bit longer. So let's get to our Kuehl caps. Kuehl caps of the weekend. Yeah, Ovi's an easy one. I'll go with Ovechkin. 3 points over the weekend, 3 assists as well. He continues to hang around that top spot in the NHL in the scoring race. Let me just pull up the scoring numbers at the time of this recording because I'm really interested to see where he's at. Still 3rd, only though 1 point behind both Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, who are tied for 1st. Ovechkin's 20 goals is 2nd, 3 behind Draisaitl. His assist, 5 back of McDavid, who has 29. Ovi, like I said before, with the assist coming on Saturday with 24 assists in the game. So Ovi's had a great time. I'm going to give Vanacek 1 as well. I think that's a real important win for him. Like I said, he looked a little shaky at times, but the fact he was able to come out and make a couple of saves in the shootout as well to help the Caps get the win and not go 0 on the weekend, that's kind of big for him. Maybe get his confidence back a little bit as well. And yeah, those are only 2 Kuehl caps I can really give for this weekend off the top of my head. Or yeah, Lars Eller. How about Lars Eller? He gets the goal on Saturday. I thought he played really well in the game against Pittsburgh as well. Of course, getting the goal against Pittsburgh. 2-goal weekend for Lars Eller. I can't believe I almost forgot about him. So he'll get my 3rd Kuehl cap of the weekend there. So that is it, folks, for this edition of Locked On Capitals, this Monday edition. Tuesday, we'll kind of do some more looking around the league a little bit with the off day. And Wednesday, we got a game against the Blackhawks. So maybe we'll talk to someone from over there. We'll have to wait and see. But that is it. Once again, folks, be sure to follow us at Locked On Caps on Twitter. Follow me, the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl, at TJKU29 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where I recently did a very unique I've been doing some unique, I can't say deep dives because TikToks only do 3 minutes, but little jumps into some topics, and one including the Pittsburgh Penguins and Washington Capitals and an event that happened 10 years ago. Go check that out at TJKU29. It does make sense if you believe it or not. I think it made sense. I believe it made sense. I don't know. My F1 TikTok today made no sense according to people that commented on it. Anywho, that is it, folks. We'll see you tomorrow with more Locked On Caps. Getting you ready for the upcoming Washington Capitals schedule. See ya.